Thank you for coming. We have Mr. Phil Leib here, and we are in our second episode of Coaching Insights.
Awesome.
So we had your good buddy and the junior high basketball coach, Trey Schleif, on earlier.
Oh, I bet that was entertaining.
It was. We got into a lot of topics. We had to dive into him being a Chiefs fan.
Oh.
Yeah. So, we all make decisions in life that we have to live with.
You have to go to a commercial break right away? Or...
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
We absolutely did. Well, thank you for coming on. I am such a fan of yours and everything that you're doing, and you're coming off quite an accomplishment. The winningest basketball coach in Flora's history. How's that feel? What does that mean to you?
It just means I've done it a long time. That's really what it means.
Yeah.
But I've been blessed with some great players, some great coaches to help along the way. And more importantly, I've been blessed with a great family. My wife and Cindy of 34 years, be 35 this June, and
Wow.
5 wonderful children. And just God has been so good to me in my ministry, and that's been my ministry.
Right.
I don't look at it as I get to coach, absolutely, but I get to minister through the game of basketball.
Yeah. Tell me more about your faith. Like, when did you come into your faith?
Man.
And,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I grew up in a Christian home,
Okay.
mom and dad. I mean, we had a drug problem. They drove us to church every time the doors were open. I mean, that's the way it was. So we grew up with that environment, that foundation, but it wasn't really my relationship. It wasn't really,
Sure.
I knew who Jesus was and I knew who God was, but he wasn't really personal to me until I got in college. And, the God in my life at that time was basketball. And we serve a lot of different gods here on this earth, but God at that time was basketball. When basketball was good, life was good. And we were very good in high school.
Okay.
My career was 87-7, I think, in my in college, in my high school career, but college not as much. And I remember the day after the season was ended, my senior year in college, I went to play at Northern Illinois University, and Jim Molinari, I said, "Coach, you got a minute?" And he said, "Sure." So he went into his office, and I said, "I've been thinking about going to church, and what church would you recommend?" And he asked me, he said, "Why would you want to go to church?" I said, "Well, I grew up in church. It's good for my family. I'm married. So I just think it's a good foundation." He says, "Well, if you were to die today, based on how you've been living, where would you go?" And I didn't like that answer. And he said, "Do you want to change that answer now?" So right there in his office, I knelt down and accepted Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And since then, he's been my personal Lord, not just a religion, but he's been more of a relationship. So that was in 1989.
Wow.
1990, the spring of 1990. And from then, it's not all been pleasant, but he's been with you every step of the way. So from there, got into God's Word and just started really digging, learning more and more about that, what it is to be his servant and just to live in his blessings. And it's just been a great journey along the way. And part of that winningest coach is just part of the accolades, part of the blessings that he's just bestowed upon me. It's nothing I deserve, nothing I've done. It's all because of him and his doing.
Right. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's really awesome. Sign of a good coach is tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow, what an amazing person that he is, and
Yes.
what a huge impact that he made. Yeah. I would assume that you had a relationship with him during your career, and that happened kind of like after, as like a finality of your career. How did that? Was that just?
I was like the Black Plague of my college coaches. I would play for him a year and they get a new coach. So
really?
Oh, man. So,
okay.
Yeah. So he was my fourth coach in my 4 years at college. And
wow.
And I remember, God gave me a lot of blessings, but one was a hard work ethic and just a desire not to quit.
Sure.
And so I just had a dream, And with my wife, then my girlfriend, Cindy, she worked her tail off to help put me through my first semester there at Northern.
Okay.
But anyway, I walked on at Northern, and then ended up getting a full ride.
Oh wow!
At full ride Northern. My dream, I wanted to play Division I as Division I. So, but then they fired Jim Rosborough, that coach who gave me the full ride, and then out comes Jim Molinari. He goes, "Phil, I see your walk on. They gave you a scholarship." And he said, "Yes." I said, "Well, I may have to take that." I said, "Well, at least let me prove myself." And then I pulled out the trump card. I said, "And I'm getting married in June." So, so I did a smart thing.
You cannot take
no. And I introduced him to Cindy, which everybody loves Cindy.
Right.
And so then, needless to say, I kept my scholarship. He actually made me a team captain.
Oh wow!
And then we developed a relationship. He kept me on as an assistant coach there at Northern the following year, and then also at Bradley.
Oh wow!
Yep.
Okay.
And then I got into the public education after that. So,
okay. And then that's when you started your teaching career.
I started teaching there in Henry for 8 years, and then came back down to Flora in the spring of 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Talk about Cindy. I know that she's. Everybody loves her, right? Awesome. And sometimes our wives, coaches' wives, don't get as much credit. I talked to Trey a little bit about Tot and like how they sometimes they don't realize that they're signing up to be an assistant coach.
Oh yeah.
And maybe they didn't sign up for it, but they definitely are a part of it.
Right.
So talk about her and what she means and how coming home, from a big win is amazing, right? Like you're walking on cloud nine, and then and then the games that you lose, you're like, oh wow, this is amazing, and you come in with the same positive attitude, right?
Right.
Every time.
Sometimes,
no,
but she's an emotional person. I mean, she is my partner through basketball. I mean, it's something we've done together. It's been our life journey together. I'm the head coach, but man, we're the head, but she turned the head. She's the neck of the operation. So she's been so supportive. So after big wins, it's great, but she keeps us level. She helps keep me level. And after big losses, like, okay, well, we can do better. And I've learned not to get so defensive when she offers suggestions. She doesn't offer anything about X's and O's, because she knows that.
Sure.
Not her forte, but she sees things. Our wives see things that we may not have a blind eye to. But they're very protective of us, and they want what's best for us. So they're going to tell you things that we may not want to hear, but we need to hear. And she does that, and she keeps me grounded, and she has been so awesome through our journey. And she's my best friend. I couldn't imagine coaching or doing life without her. So,
yeah. And I love that. I mean, I love to see you guys are always just together, always, and you guys are a team. Yeah. You can't have one without the other, and one is not more important than the other or anything like that. Right. And so that is
no, there's no 50-50. It's 100-100.
Yep, it absolutely is. So, and then I also wanted to talk to you about just a little bit about your season so far. Yeah. What you got coming up. I know. Okay. I know you have El Dorado coming up tonight. But, right. This will probably be released on Monday, so you'll have a W now, and
there you go. And
then we'll talk about it. But tell us a little bit about the playoffs that are coming up and things. How's that looking? Yeah.
So our season, it's been good. I think we've been we figured some things out since. Midway through December, we've had some tough losses. I think we've had 12 losses. 6 or 7 of those have been by one possession, 3 or 4 points. So that's been hard to swallow. Yeah. There have been times where I felt like those losses, 5 of those, I felt like we probably would have, could have, should have maybe. Mm-hmm. And there's been really only 2 games that I didn't feel like we were worthy. Even we didn't really compete well. And that was that Lawrenceville game. That was a Petenyville game. Okay. Both really, really good teams. But everybody else, I felt we could beat anybody at any given time. Right. We got some great kids, and this is probably one of the best defensive groups I've ever coached. I mean, these guys, we went man-to-man. We used to play zone last couple of years, and this year started zone, but we switched up to some man-to-man. And they've really bought into taking personal responsibility and taking some pride in their defensive ability. And that's really won us some games because we there's times we don't score very much and we don't score very well, but defense will always keep you in it, and it has done that. So right now we're currently 14-12, but hopefully after tonight's game be 15-12. But then tomorrow, Saturday, we go to Belleville Altoff.
Okay.
We play my brother's team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's fun. We decided he wanted to do that because right now I'm 1-0 against him, and he can't stand that. So we both have 2 years left.
Okay.
He goes, let's play each other. So okay, so we're going there this year, and he's coming to our place next year, and he's got a really good and talented squad, very athletic, very quick. So that'll be a different level for us. So this will be good. But that's going to help us in postseason because next week on Tuesday we got Fairfield coming to home to our place for senior night. And they're right now they're first in the conference. So that'll be a big challenge. And then on Friday, we close out the regular season at Newton, who's another formidable opponent, and it'll be tough to beat there. But and then as far as regionals, those things come out on Friday at 4 as far as where we go. But I'm pretty sure if I had to guess, we are a 5 seed. Fairfield's a 4 seed. Newton's a 3 seed. T-Town's a 2 seed, and Lawrenceville's a 1.
Okay.
In that order there. So 1 and 4 go together. So Lawrenceville, Fairfield, and us will be going to Vandalia for that regional there, and then Newton and T-Town will be up there at Newton. So we will have a playing game on February 19th, which is President's Day, I believe. We'll play at Conley, and then the winner goes to Vandalia for the regional. So that's how that'll work.
Okay, that's okay. All right.
Yep.
And then from then on, then then the road starts.
It is. Okay. Lose, you go home. You win, you move on, and that's kind of the way it is, and that's why they call it March Madness. But I really like our chances. I like how this team is playing. I like how they're bonding together.
Yeah.
I've still not seen our best basketball yet as far as offensively. I think when we just finally it clicks, I think we will be a tough team to beat. I really do, because our defense is there. It's just a matter of getting that offensive along the line as well.
Yeah. Talk to me about some of your leaders that you have on the team, and who do you kind of look to kind of spark the guys?
That was a big question mark coming into the season because we lost 2 big leaders the last couple of years. And as a coach, I mean, you do so much, but you need that leadership on the floor. Yeah. And you know that as a coach as well. But Trevor Johnson's really stepped up as far as helping, getting kids corralled and getting kids playing together and getting them working hard. And Neil Young, I mean, he's not necessarily a leader, but man, he is competitive. Okay. And a competitor, they want to compete and they want to win, and he will inspire others to help get them to a different level as well. Lawson, point guard, he's very quiet, mild mannered, but I've seen him grow so much as a player this year, and I've seen that little inner switch come around sometimes when he gets a little ticked off, and then there's a different level, which we got to have. Yeah. And Tyler Conrad, another senior, he's very quiet, but man, he has stepped up to help younger guys. Hey, we don't do that. We don't. That's not how we act. Hey, you need to get your shirt tucked in. Where's your tie? He has done a great job with those little guys and even other seniors as far as because it is a long season, and there's sometimes we don't always agree. Right. And he does a great job as being a mediator. Okay. Keeping those things. And then Quinn Eubanger, I mean, he's just a force. I mean, he plays so stinking hard and just a brute. But he gives you 100% every single night, and he's been a great addition with the Wolves. But that rounds out our seniors, and that's our leadership right there.
Wow, that's a lot of good seniors. I mean,
we do have good seniors.
I mean, all of those names I've interacted with a lot of them. Like Trevor, I know from CEO, and just some really great kids there.
They are,
and that's awesome. I love to hear that the seniors are stepping up, because not only that. There's a big difference between a junior and a senior.
Absolutely.
It's really incredible to watch that that maturity level. And I really like to tell me a little bit about who was it that plays with the chip on their shoulder? I just forgot.
I think Neil.
Neil.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
He's got that swagger to him.
Okay.
I mean, he just, if he gets beat in practice, he goes, let's run it again. Well, we got to move on. Let's run it again. So he just wants to win. And so,
I love that.
Yeah. And you got to love that. And he's a little squirrely at times, but man, that's okay too, because it's such a long season. You need some squirreliness every now and then.
Oh yeah.
Just so that's all you're doing, that's not good. But
right.
But
there's a time and place.
There's a time and place for it, and he's done a good job as far as that time in that place. So.
Awesome. So you mentioned about the ties. So I have a question for you. You guys are always decked out, and I love it.
Yeah.
You guys are always tie, jacket. Your coaching staff falls in line with that as well, whether they want to or not, right?
Yep.
They do it. But tell me a little bit about that and like why you have that thought and just like a little bit behind it.
That goes back to probably the all-time winningest coach in Flora basketball, which I may have the most wins, but this guy, his winning percentage will never be matched. And that goes to Tom Welch, who I played for.
Okay.
He instilled that upon us as far as a jacket and a blazer and tie. And so we just carried that on. When I got back here in the fall of 2000, and we still had the blazers up in the closet. I even pulled out a newspaper clipping from when we went to Super Sectional in '84. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" So it's something we just always have done, and it's that's just Flora basketball. And when you walk into the gym, people know there's Flora.
Right.
That's who I represent. That's what I represent. I think it's about respect of the game, and I know some people don't. In some coaches' programs, they don't do that, and they still have great programs, and that's okay.
Right.
That is just me. That's how I was brought up, and that's what there's a book, Dress for Success. I mean, you know, you only have one chance to make a first impression, and when we walk in that gym, it's not about impressing people, but it's about letting people know that we're Flora. We represent class. We're going to play with respect. We represent authority, because a kid wouldn't do that unless they were told to do that.
Right.
So therefore, that's a sign of respect and authority. Yep. And it's just a matter of, just being good people. And then you have to have a shirt and tie to be a good person. Right. But it's noticeable. And we wear them. They even wear them for on game days. So, and you think, oh, that's nice, but you gotta understand, guys, it's 30 games.
Right.
I mean, it starts at the end of November through end of February. That's a long time.
You're talking about two or 3 games a week, right? I mean, so that's 5 days a week for a kid, and they can only dress up like they want to, twice.
And the worst, it's not as bad now, but used to. You'd have fresh soft games on Monday and Thursday, and varsity on and JV on Tuesday, Friday. So there's some kids. It was every day but Wednesday, but that's not as much now. But yeah, that's awesome. But they've always done it, and they just that's just something they knew that's part of it.
Yeah,
that's part of Flora basketball, and we're proud of that. I know we're not supposed to be proudful, but we are proud of that. So.
I think it's okay to be proud of that. Yeah. I mean, you're not boasting about it, but you guys are proud, and I think there's a certain. I was the same guy, right? So like I would do it for wrestling matches. And my dad always did it as the coach, and always a suit and tie. And I had that same thought.
Yeah.
Right? They need to know that I care. Yeah. Right? And they need to know, and it starts with me and then trickles down. And I would have coaches all the time come up to me and like, why are you dressed like this? And it's like, why are you not? And I loved basketball coaches for a really long time. You could never catch a basketball coach in anything but a suit and tie. Yeah. And so this is a question that I wanted to ask you. Why, I feel like it was COVID. I don't know if that's actually the time, but after COVID, I don't watch basketball often.
Right.
Hardly ever.
Yeah.
No offense.
No.
But, it's always just during wrestling season, so it just is what it is. But basketball coaches have always dressed really well.
Yes.
And on college, college games, you always see the coach dress really well. And then now you look at it and they're over there looking like, a graduate assistant or something like that, or like, a guy who's shacking balls.
The summer rec league.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're right. It started with COVID.
That is what happened.
That's exactly what happened. And because they decided, you know what, you don't necessarily, because they took the fans out of the picture and said, well, there's no fans. You can just kind of just look appropriate. You can wear polos or pullovers and slacks and things like that. And that started with the college coaches, and that trickled down to the high school. And now today, I mean, there's only I count on one hand the amount of coaches that actually wear shirt and tie or coat and tie anymore. They just don't do it, and that's something that it was a couple of years ago. We went to Wayne City. They changed the time to an afternoon game, and I was like, okay, let's just wear a pullover with a nice shirt underneath. And I told my staff that, and I was like, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. And it's just a meaningless game, but at the same time, and so I remember Todd Country, my JV coach, he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I brought my blazer and jacket." He goes, "I'll be right back." So he had to run home and bring his because he felt the same way. But so that's kind of where that started, and it has trickled down. And there's some coaches that they're so happy that they don't have to do that anymore. But that's just who we are. And my wife loves dressing me, so it's the suits and the ties.
It's fun putting them together, and I like it. I kind of took the. It's funny with wrestling coaches. You got they're like. They look like they just walked out of, I don't know, a practice or something. They're wearing like sweats and stuff. And so my thing was always like, let's elevate wrestling. You know what I mean? Let's elevate it to a classier sport and like make it more, I don't know, pleasing when you walk in.
Right.
Not that you're not pleasing, but just visually, it's like, oh wow, that they take this sport very serious. So which is my thing, because we're always trying to get support from administration. We're trying to draw fans in. It's not basketball where like you can throw an alley oop and everybody's impressed by that, and like everybody's dude, that was cool. Like I don't care. Like you don't have to be. You don't have to know what's going on in basketball to know that was cool.
Yep.
So and I think I take a play out of. I think it's more like Deion Sanders. Like you feel good. What is it? You look good. You feel good. You feel good. You play good. You play good. They pay good.
There you go.
So, but same kind of concept. But it is a level of like it's like your uniform, right? And it's game time. I'm mentally here, and this is where I'm at, and this is where my feet are. So it's pretty. I was like, man. I need to ask Phil about that because, it's been
that's where it started. So that's on every game day, I'm a PE teacher, right? So this is not what you want to wear in a gym class. So, but that's if I believe the general need to eat with his troops, and so if we're asking my players to do it, then I'm going to do it too, and I've always modeled that. So So.
Well, just to finish up this conversation, I appreciate your time and
absolutely
coming
my
over.
Pleasure.
And just kind of tell us a little bit about like how do you want to be remembered, and how, not that you're going anywhere, but just like what is your end goal? Not that you're have some preconceived notion of like where you're going or like you have some alternative motive or anything like that. But like when you look at coaching, what is your driving force behind that? And like, how do you actually set goals to make sure that you're doing like getting to that end result?
Right. I've always, it's early on as a coach, I always got caught up in the wins and losses. And I've realized, throughout the years that if you develop character and you develop a work ethic and integrity, those wins and losses will usually take care of themselves.
Right.
So that's something we do along the way with that. So as far as goals, I've never really said that we need to win this amount this year. We need to do this year. I want to be Flora's all-time winningest coach, or I want to win this. That wasn't it. My number one goal is that, and I looked up Matthew in 5:16. I think we're to be the light of Jesus. And if I'm supposed to get out of the way so Jesus' light can shine through me, and people won't remember what you taught them, but they'll always remember how you treated them.
Right.
And so I've always treated my players fairly. There's been times I've been hard on them. I've yelled at them, but that's what coaches are supposed to do. Coaches are supposed to elevate the person more than what he could do on his own and she could do on his own. That's what coaches do.
Yeah.
So if I could be remembered for anything, is that, I pointed others to Jesus. Get myself out of the way. I represent Flora basketball with class. I represented Flora and the community with respect and dignity, and I hopefully left it in good shape for someone else to pick that up along the way. So my number one fear, and I tell my players at the end of the season, is that I will be a hindrance for you someday come to know Jesus. That is, you don't ever want to do that.
Right.
But if I can help point you into that relationship with Jesus, then I've done my job. Right. And that's all I really care about.
Yeah. Well, and you can see it. I can tell when I see you interact with your kids, with your own kids, with the way you treat your wife, everything all leads to that. So I can tell you from just like watching you interact with those kids, sometimes it is difficult to hold kids accountable and say, hey, listen, man, I expect more from you because you should expect more from you, you know, and that's a tough, but you have to have that relationship. Otherwise, if you don't have that relationship, which you've done a great job of building that trust level to get to that point. I think there was a point in time where, well, whatever coach says, we got to run through that wall. Like when you were going to high school, hey, go run through that wall, Bill. And you're like, okay, I'll go do
question.
it. Yeah, I'll do it. Now it's like, hey, we need to have a relationship. And then I'm going to ask you to run through that wall. And then you're going to go, okay, maybe.
Yeah. I've learned relationship demands without relationship leads to rebellion. So, I mean, but if you have a relationship with kids, you can ask them to run through that wall and they will do it. Yeah. Like you said. So,
I appreciate you. Thanks for everything that you do.
Thanks for having us.
You absolutely handle yourself with class always, dressed to the nines, and your staff always does a really great job.
Thank you.
You guys just you can tell that your team really loves and respects you, and so I think that's all you can really ask for. But I just appreciate your time and our friendship. And
thanks for doing this. It's great to be on here, and it's great to spread the good news of Jesus.
Yeah, absolutely. Amen.
Awesome. Amen.
Can't wrap it up any better than that.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.